person that connected me with your version of nitric oxide, he said that is on his top list of absolute do not pass go, must have in your paradigm, nitric oxide, for the body's ability to hold charge and voltage and work with some of these subtle energetic technologies, like amp coil, like the attenuator, like pulse electromagnetic field generation. So again, why would it be so helpful with the technology in that nature?
Well, nitric oxide is a free radical, so it has an unpaired electron in its outer orbital. So when we, as a biochemist, we count electrons, right? And it's all about the flow of electrons, which affects the potential hydrogen, the voltage of the cell and the energetics. Because most free radicals will scavenge electrons. Nitric oxide is an electron donor. So any electron donating species is antioxidant, anti-inflammatory in nature, and affects the voltage of the cell. So we're donating electrons.
Yes.
So it's critically important in that. And the other thing is, in nerve conductance, you need blood supply to those nerves to generate that electric potential that we're trying to restore. So in neuropathy, for example, those nerves have small vessel disease, so there's no perfusion of those nerves, and you can't generate an action potential and you get neuropathy. So for me, everything is about blood flow, because whether it's Alzheimer's and vascular dementia or heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease, pulmonary, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, it's all about reduced blood flow. So until you restore blood flow and perfusion, get oxygen and nutrients into the cells, get the waste material out, nothing else is going to work. And that's the role of nitric oxide.
Yeah, can you speak to, because I know it's in, I heard you mention it yesterday, the idea that a cell needs a certain voltage or charge to be able to heal. And there's a range in which a healthy cell exists. I'd love, from a medical professional, I'd love to hear your explainer on that.
So the normal potential, the membrane potential, the voltage inside versus outside of the cell is about minus 25 millivolts.
Minus 25 millivolts. And millivolts can be converted to pH, yes?
That's right. That's the Nernst equation. Right?
Okay, so potential hydrogen to millivolts.
That's right.
Yes.
So negative 25 millivolts is pH 7.4.
Great.
So if you have an injury, so if you smash your finger, you've got to make new cells and replace those damaged cells.
Yes.
So in order for to do that, the signal is you have to reach a membrane potential of minus 50 millivolts. But if your body can't generate enough energy because you're sick, or your mitochondria don't work, or you have hypothyroidism, then you can't initiate that healing response. So if your body can't do it, then you have to use energetics, whether it's the amp coil or use any other thing that puts voltage into the cell. Then you can restore that membrane potential. And once you generate new cells, then it goes back to minus 25 millivolts.
Yeah.
And then cancer cells, for example, is when you flip polarity.
You flip polarity in a cancer cell. Can you explain that to me? So if I'm just somebody listening to this, what do you mean that I go from a cell that has a healthy millivoltage, like negative 25 millivolts? What does it mean when a cell flips polarity? My understanding has always been that on the outside of the cell there's a net positive, inside is a net negative.
Correct.
So it's that differential which is allowing sodium potassium ions to flow in and out of the cell, and that is a healthy functionality when that gradient exists.
Well, it's like a battery. If you take a rechargeable battery and you basically deplete it of all of its charge, then the negative becomes positive, the positive becomes negative. It switches polarity. And then you're unable to recharge that rechargeable battery.
Yes.
So that's how the human body works. In fact, cancer goes back to the Warburg effect.
Yes.
Right? Cancer only grows in a low oxygen, low pH environment. And so that pH, the potential hydrogen, it then becomes less than 7. So now at pH 7 means you have there's no charge, right? It's 0. Anything that's acidic, it's positive. And so cancer only grows in an acidic, low oxygen environment. The other interesting thing is that the lower the pH, the less dissolved oxygen you can have. So the higher the pH, the more the dissolved oxygen you can have in water or even inside a cell. So in cancer, what you have to do is figure out what's causing the drainage of that voltage in that particular cell type or that particular organ, and then you've got to switch that polarity and then start charging that particular meridian. And then you create an environment that's fully oxygenated, normal pH, and in that environment cancer cells can't grow. So cancer cells are very restrictive in the environment which they can grow. It's low oxygen, low pH. They don't like oxygen.